There's the lawsuit against Ripple, over, whether or not XRP, the Ripple coin, is a security or not. We'll see how that goes. We may well have a decision on that at the lowest court, the district court, this year. And I'm sure whichever way that comes out, there will be appeals. And it could go all the way up to the Supreme Court. There's one, there's maybe a 60, 70-year-old decision called Howie that the Supreme Court issued that kind of sets out what's an investment contract and gives the criteria by which a court could judge that. That's quite old. It's arguable whether or not it's still current, and I could see the Ripple case maybe ultimately, if it goes all the way up, to have the Supreme Court really re-examine that for its coherence in the current environment and whether it needs to be tweaked. So a lot of things riding on that. So that's like a really interesting thing to follow in this space.
This guy right here is the next head of the SEC. Yes, Paul Atkins was just confirmed as the next SEC chairman by the US Congress. And in this video, he just dropped a final warning about Ripple and XRP. He has issued a massive warning about XRP and Ripple's lawsuit going to the Supreme Court, potentially to review the Howey test and to change the Howey test, because the Howey test is the reason why Ripple and XRP got sued in the first place. So he wants the SEC and he wants the government to change the Howey test. And according to him, that is why the Ripple XRP case could literally go all the way to the Supreme Court. And just in breaking news right now, everyone, this pro-crypto person right here is going to be the next head of the SEC. And this is important because he's replacing Gary Gensler now as the SEC chairman. And Gary Gensler hated cryptocurrency, but this guy, he's pro-crypto. So this is big if you own crypto and XRP. And also in this video, he speaks about the Ripple lawsuit and XRP. Listen to this.
I guess his penultimate day in office, is the lawsuit against Ripple regarding XRP and whether or not that is a security. We should get a ruling in that trial here sometime here in the next couple months, maybe. So that may be an indication of where things are going to go. And perhaps the SEC is waiting to see how it might fare in court on that.
Paul Atkins, the new SEC chairman, wants the lawsuit to end, and he has confirmed that a massive decision is coming out in the next few months, that the judge on the lawsuit will come to a conclusion, hopefully soon. Now, whether that will be the end of the lawsuit or to push it up to the Supreme Court, we will have to wait and see. Because again, according to him, the Ripple lawsuit could go to the Supreme Court, everyone. Paul Atkins being sworn in as the next head of the SEC is huge news for crypto and especially XRP. Now, why XRP? Because according to this report right here, the SEC is awaiting confirmation of Paul Atkins, the next head of the SEC, before approving the XRP ETFs. So this right here says that the agency is waiting the confirmation of Trump's nominee for SEC chair Paul Atkins before deciding on ETFs, especially the XRP and Solana ETFs. So XRP's ETF could be approved also very soon. Now that Paul Atkins has been confirmed as the next head of the SEC, the XRP ETFs is next. That's another big catalyst coming up for XRP. And that means a lot of money, a lot of capital, a lot of inflows will come into XRP, and a lot of people will be buying XRP because of the XRP ETF. If you want to long or short XRP, go to Wynand Crypto, and on this video, you're going to find a link to sign up to BTCC to be able to trade Bitcoin and XRP and other cryptocurrencies. And guys, with BTCC, you can get a limited time $10,000 bonus on your first deposit. This is where I'm trading. This is where I can open all of my long positions, all of my trades. I think it's a fantastic place to be trading. So make sure to use the link down in the description below if you want to sign up and start trading XRP. And here is another video about Paul Atkins speaking about the Ripple XRP lawsuit. And he says how both sides will inevitably appeal, but Ripple has a very strong case.
Judge Torres, I think, I don't know her, but she really put her finger on a really important aspect of this. Are we looking at the transactions, or are we looking at the asset? And I think if you look at the Howey case, and then you look at what is an investment contract, which is the Supreme Court took a stab at it back in whenever it was 1946 to figure out, okay, what does that actually mean? So they came up with a test that has the term in there, expectation, and so expectation of profit. And so she parsed it out and applied it to the facts at hand, and we'll see whether or not that stands scrutiny, because this will be inevitably appealed, I'm sure. And I'm sure both sides think that they'll ultimately prevail. I do think that these sorts of questions, whether it be in Ripple or something else, will go up to the Supreme Court.
So there you have it. He mentioned again the Supreme Court, how Ripple could go, the lawsuit with Ripple, XRP, and the SEC. It could go all the way up to the Supreme Court. He has mentioned that multiple times, everyone. And this is important because now he's going to be the next head of the SEC. So if he wants to take it up to the Supreme Court for some reason, he can do that. He can make the SEC prolong this lawsuit too and take it up to the Supreme Court for one reason, to change the Howey test. So there's a small chance that Paul Atkins, the next head of the SEC, is going to take XRP and Ripple lawsuit up to the Supreme Court. And listen to this.
And since this is all judge-made rules and by the Supreme Court itself, I think they're the appropriate ones, in the first instance here, since it's coming up to them, to try to clean up this mess. And then obviously Congress is there, but they're kind of dysfunctional. And so I don't really see anything immediately on the horizon. Maybe this will spur them as other judges try to, deal with applying, these sorts of this sort of tests to other cases. So it'll be very interesting to see how that goes. But I do think that I think the Ripple folks here have a very strong case to.
So Ripple has a very strong case to push forward and to win this lawsuit. But this lawsuit could still go all the way up to the Supreme Court. According to this guy right here, Paul Atkins, the next SEC chairman, has been confirmed in the past few hours, and now big changes are going to come into the crypto sphere, especially to Ripple XRP. He has dropped a massive warning about XRP's lawsuit going all the way up to the Supreme Court, how Ripple has a very strong case, how the SEC enforcement actions need to be addressed, and the Howey test needs to be changed, and how many big things are coming up now in the next few months and weeks. So I will keep you all updated every single day. I love you all, and I will see you very soon. Until the next time, Wynand Crypto out.